Hey, Ted, what you got there? It looks like it's the Unearthed Arcana from last week. I'm surprised you didn't go with the new one.
Really?
1 week later.
So I just finished making my new character with the UA.
Oh, did you go Bard or Paladin?
You said there was the new Unearthed Arcana with Sorcerer and Warlock.
That was a week ago, and now we've got the Cleric, Druid, and Wizard Unearthed Arcana.
Are you kidding me?
1 week later.
Since you know I like playing, with the newest characters, looking over the Unearthed Arcana for Cleric, Druid, Wizard. I got a Wildfire Druid. I'm guessing you're here to tell me the bad news.
What bad news? I love it when Wizards of the Coast comes out with new material.
Yeah, but every time I make a new character, you tell me that there's a new release.
Oh, you're expecting me to tell you about the Fighter, Ranger, and Rogue Unearthed Arcana, aren't you? No, Ted, you know Wizards of the Coast releases the new Unearthed Arcana the day after we film. So let's quick do Clerics, Druids, and Wizards and review the Unearthed Arcana before Wizards can put out something new. Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Nerdarchy is a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
Alright, I'm going to pull out my handy-dandy device here so I can pull up the Unearthed Arcana over on D&D Beyond.
Well, since we're mentioning D&D Beyond, we might as well mention that they are a sponsor for this video.
D&D Beyond is a great resource for players and dungeon masters alike. You can go over there, you can use everything from the SRD for free and have access to, including the Unearthed Arcana we're about to look at right now. But not only that, they have articles, they have videos, there's all kinds of great things for free over there. It's not even getting into the other stuff.
There are plenty of great content that's in there. There's lots of homebrew material that people are making. There's the encounter builder that makes prepping material for your campaigns and for your sessions so much easier. It is a great resource. You can even go ahead and get access to it, create a campaign and share that out to your players. So if you want to go in yourself or go in as a group via that method, you can have a lot of fun using D&D Beyond. It's a great tool. Highly recommend it.
All right, so the Unearthed Arcana, we've got 3 subclasses, one for Cleric, Druid, and Wizard. Twilight Cleric is the first one, the domain we get. The Twilight domain governs the transition and blending of light into darkness. It is a time of rest and comfort, but also the threshold between safety and the unknown. Deities of healing or respite, such as Beladri, I'm going to butcher a bunch of these, Heisha, Meshkal, and Pelar. I know, just let me have it right in the comments. It's fine. Bravery and protection, such as Dal Aura, Hayama, Helm, and Ilmater. Travel or transition, such as I know the deity from Forgotten Realms, but it looks like it should literally be one of the great old ones, such as Farlan, Hermes, the Raven Queen, or the Traveler, or Night and Dream, such as Celestian, Morpheus, Nut, or Saloon. Might grant their clerics the Twilight domain. Clerics who serve these deities tend to be brave, delving into the dark to hold its dangers at bay and to bring comfort to those lost far from light.
So this is a very interesting domain, and we were having a conversation before we turned on the cameras about the spells that are on this list and how very uncleric-y they are.
Yeah, you get a good selection. First level, you get Fairy Fire and Sleep.
You get Darkness and Invisibility at 3rd.
5th level is Aura of Vitality and Lehman's Tiny Hut.
7th level, you get Aura of Life and Greater Invisibility.
9th level is Circle of Power and Dream. So you're getting a bunch of spells on here that aren't typically on the Cleric spell list, which is really nice. Fairy Fire, Sleep, Invisibility, Greater Invisibility, Lehman's Tiny Hut. All great spells. And also, we've got Lehman's Tiny Hut, and that's a ritual spell, which is nice.
Yeah, and clerics are ritual casters, so, the fact that it's always there, that's pretty nice, that you can be able to, in a pinch, cast it, or be able to ritual cast it. So.
Yeah, so basically your long rests will not be getting interrupted. So first level bonus proficiencies, of course you get proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor. You're supposed to be, holding off the darkness, so yeah, you got to be prepared for that.
So Eyes of the Night is also your first level ability. You are blessed, allowing you to see through the deepest gloom. You have dark vision with no maximum range. You can see in dim light as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. As an action, you can magically give the benefit of this feature to any number of creatures you can see within 10 feet of you. The shared benefit lasts for 10 minutes. You can extend this benefit a number of times equal to your Wisdom mod, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So, wow.
It's a bit of a lesser Devil's Sight, really.
Right.
So, it's decent. You're not going to have to worry about seeing. That's for sure.
I think that this is going to offer challenges, because essentially, like, you can see, you can't see through magical darkness, but there is no range. So as far as you can normally be able to see, that's pretty incredible. I think in a lot of different scenarios, and I think a lot of DMs plan for things happening in the darkness, and for a Twilight cleric, you're gonna have to rethink that strategy.
So many things have dark vision anyway, but granted,
it's a range.
Yeah, dark vision tends to be 60 feet. Eyes of the Night, that second part as an action where you can basically give other people the ability to see in the dark as well. It's not just you. I have heard, a little bit of rumbling on the internet and be like, them complaining about this particular ability of being able to give the rest of the party dark vision, and this superior dark vision as it is. Now, this doesn't really bother me very much for the simple fact that it's 10 minutes at a time. So, like, if you extend it, if you have a maxed out stat and give it to everybody, that is less than an hour.
Yes.
So it's not really great. In a pinch, it's awesome. Like, something happens and we weren't prepared for it. The Twilight Cleric can give everyone basically dark vision for the encounter.
Yes.
Which works out really well, as long as they're close to them.
Right, yeah. You can for an encounter, possibly two, if they're back to back, through a dungeon crawl. I think there's a number of things that this could be useful for. And I think this is something that you could literally craft. As a DM, you could craft a puzzle that really requires, this expenditure, this use, to really allow the party to deal with it. It's like, okay, well, you use this ability, now it's used up, and, you move on. But I think there's a lot of things that I think, honestly, as a DM, I do try to craft my material based on what my players can do. So when you've got a cleric who has this kind of stuff, use it, and,
give them a chance to shine.
Yeah. So next up, there is Vigilant Blessing, also a first level power. The knight has taught you to be vigilant. As an action, you can give one creature you touch, including possibly yourself, advantage on the next initiative roll the creature makes. This benefit ends immediately after the roll, or if you use this feature again. No uses, just,
Yeah, it's really strong. Basically, someone is going to always just have advantage on initiative, is what they're saying. It's very much, I've seen other abilities that have been crafted as similar, but it's always like that character has it. In this case, it's like, I can have it, or I can give it to somebody else.
So I like the fact, like, I don't think there's anything that's uber strong about it. One character in a party at a time having advantage on initiative checks, that doesn't faze me. And the fact that it is the cleric being able to give it to anyone in the party, I like that ability. And it really does grant the fact that the cleric is designed to help the party. So it's not just you. So I really dig it. I don't think it's too strong.
Both of the first level abilities are doing it. You buff the party with them. So next up we have Channel Divinity Twilight Sanctuary. You can choose your Channel Divinity to refresh your allies with Soothing Twilight. As an action, you present your holy symbol and a sphere of twilight emanates from you. The sphere is centered on you, has a 30-foot radius, and is filled with dim light. The sphere moves with you and lasts 1 minute or until you are incapacitated or die. Whenever a creature, including you, ends its turn in the sphere, you can grant that creature one of these benefits. Give it a die 8 temporary hit points, and one effect causing it to be charmed or frightened.
Both useful scenarios. They do put in the thing, temporary hit points don't stack. Anytime they mention in a UA the temporary hit points, they put that little rule tip in there, which I always find amusing. but it's helpful.
It is helpful. So this is a good channel divinity. It's a good use for the cleric if you want to buff the party with temporary hit points, or if you want to end charmed or frightened effects. This is going to come in handy in a pinch. And part of it is situational, but if you do use it because the situation arises, then you have the temporary hit points on top of it. So it's going to be useful no matter what. Or you can use it the other way, and if the other situation does arise, it's already in place. It moves with the cleric. So, let me go over to my frightened or charmed companion and get rid of that, because it really sucks once the barbarian becomes charmed and wants to smash the party.
So I think the fact that there is that option there, it's a really strong ability. Not overpowered in any way, but very versatile and very, very cleric-y. Steps of the Brave. You draw strength from your connection to Twilight and find yourself at home within its dark embrace, gaining 2 benefits. You have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. If you're in dim light or darkness, you can use a bonus action to magically give yourself a flying speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your next turn.
I found this one a little odd. The second part, anyway. Like, okay, I get the advantage on saving throws versus frightened, but, you're a bat. When there's dim light or darkness, I just don't know where that one came from, per se. It just makes me think of bats for some reason, and oftentimes in the twilight hours is when you will see bats. Anyway, dusk, just before dawn and at dusk in the pre-dawn is when you tend to see them, especially at night at dusk.
I find it weird, okay, you can get a fly speed if you're in dim light or darkness. I think that clerics are going to find themselves, or adventurers, heroes, the player characters are going to be in dim light and darkness a lot. So I think granting yourself a fly speed for essentially 2 turns at a go, it's kind of strong for a 6th level character. Yes, it's already after wizards get fly. I just don't see it. I'd rather have that replaced with something.
2 rounds as a bonus action, you can fly, but basically, as long as those conditions are met, you can fly indefinitely.
Yeah.
Although the funny thing is, what happens if someone hits you with a daylight spell, or some kind of bright light spell? Do you fall from the sky?
No, you're in darkness, so you grant yourself a fly speed until the end of your next turn. So I did see that layered effect was there.
I think it should be the other way. So you can hit you with a daylight spell and just drop like a rock from the sky. So I don't know. Unless you're going for the bat thing, that just felt unthematic compared to everything else. Is it a bad ability? No.
I think it's strong for what it is.
At 6th level, too.
Right. Like I said, wizards already have fly at this point in time, but they have to use a spell slot. You just have to be, in the right conditions and use a bonus action. So
8th level, Divine Strike. We're going to get a very exciting ability here. You gain the ability to infuse your weapon strikes with divine energy once. On each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause the attack deal extra die 8 psychic damage. When you reach 14th level, extra damage increases to 2 die 8. If you're a fan of the channel and been around for a while, we kind of hate the 8th level ability for clerics. Not because it's a bad ability, only because it just seems boring and uninspired.
Right. For every cleric, for the most part, it has been either you are a martial attacker and your attacks do extra damage once a turn, or, you get a cantrip kind of thing. It's meh, yeah.
But, it's good. It's psychic damage. It's nice.
Yeah, and I was curious when I was like, all right, what type of damage are they getting? And psychic I thought fit the whole theme. They're kind of against fear, so maybe you could play it up as it's terror, it's fear that you're.
I'm getting a Batman vibe a little bit in some of this stuff.
to some extent, yeah, I can get behind that. Midnight Shroud, 17th level. You can harness the shrouding power of night to protect your allies and stymie your foes. Whenever you cast the darkness spell using a spell slot, you can choose a number of creatures that you can see, including yourself, equal to your wisdom modifier. The chosen creatures can see through the darkness. With this, you can join your warlock buddy in the magical darkness and have fun
with the whole entire party.
Yeah,
that one is strong, but it's also a high level ability. But then again, it's only limited by your spell slots. So if you want to spam darkness all over the place, you're going to be able to do that. Actually, it's great if you do have a warlock in the party that has been using that tactic, because now they don't have to use their darkness, their spell slots. They can just, glom off of yours.
Yes.
Although partially it does kind of defeat the purpose if you all kind of bunch up in that 20-foot radius, which is the perfect size.
Well, if you've got that tactic already going, what happens if, other people are casting darkness as well? You could have multiple areas that are being concentrated on, and you don't know where they're hiding, whether you stack them up so it's got a bigger area or whether you smatter them around the battlefield.
Oh, yeah, you could definitely blanket everything in darkness, and if, all of the cleric's allies can see, it becomes a bit of a thing. So, again, it's a higher level ability. You're talking about 14th level. Was it 14th level
17th.
or 17th level? Who even plays the 17th level anyway? Like, it really matters. So it could be anything at this point.
Yeah, but when I look at these kind of things, it lets me think of, what happens if I craft an encounter from the GM side and use this kind of stuff? So there's definitely fun to look at these.
It's actually more applicable from the GM side because it's the a singular being or monster versus the party, so they tend to be higher level. So you could access that stuff far easier as the DM than you can as the player. So ultimately, it works against the players more so than for them in that regards.
Sadly. But anyway, let's move on to our Wildfire Druid.
All right, so Wildfire Druid. Druids are members of the Circle of Wildfire, understand the necessity of destruction, such as how a forest fire promotes growth. These druids bond with a primal spirit that harbors destructive tendencies, allowing the druids to use their powers to create controlled flames that help flora and fauna reproduce and grow. I want to do this, but my wildfire creature is a Sour Patch Kid. It burns stuff and it's and then helps stuff grow.
Well, I liked seeing this one from a concept, knowing what I know about nature and how fires actually do help and generate growth. So it was kind of cool to see this aspect. But we get circle spells at level 2. You have formed a mystical bond with a wildfire spirit, a primal being of creation and destruction. Your link with this spirit grants you access to certain spells. At second level, you learn the Firebolt cantrip. When you reach certain levels in this class, you gain access to the spells listed in that level for them. And once you gain access to one of these spells, you always have it prepared, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare each day. If you gain access to a spell that doesn't appear on the Druid's spell list, the spell is nonetheless a Druid spell for you, as you would expect. Third level, you get Locate Plants or Animals. You get Scorching Ray.
At 5th level, you got Fireball and Plant Growth.
7th level, you get Aura of Life and Fire Shield.
And 9th level is Flame Strike and Raise Dead. I really love the way at each level it's a fire thing that does damage, and then it's kind of like a helpful thing, a grow thing, a raise thing, a resurrect thing. I have mixed feelings about this in the sense that this is the last caster to finally get Fireball, and I don't know how. It used to be like the purview of the wizard, right? Like the whole point in being a wizard was to get to 5th level so you could cast 3rd level spells and you could use Fireball. Now everybody does Fireball. Like even the fighter does Fireball. It means nothing anymore. So there's a little bit of that in 5th edition where it feels like everybody can do everything. And I don't know how I feel about it.
Well,
I have mixed feelings.
There is definitely a lot of crossover with classes. And we've brought this up before with talking about spellcasting being added across the classes, even magical effects being done by the barbarian. It's weird, but at the same time, I feel that as we've moved farther and farther away from, where we've started, first with you, second with myself, that there is definitely more of a blending and there's more options. You've already got access to multi-classing, and if you want to play a fighter and cast spells, you could be a fighter wizard, you could be an eldritch knight, you could do a variety of different combinations. So putting things together, I don't really see the problem.
Maybe I'm just a grumpy old guy. I mean, even like seeing in Magical Darkness, now there's like 3 different classes that can do it. Before you know it, like darkness won't even mean anything. Like, do we even need eyes at this point?
Second level, you get Summon Wildfire, and Dave's got some grumbles to put in here as well. You can summon the Primal Spirit bound to your soul. As an action, you can expend one use of your wild shape feature to summon your Wildfire Spirit, rather than assuming a beast form. The spirit appears in an unoccupied space of your choice you can see within 30 feet of you. Each creature within 10 feet of the spirit, other than you, when it appears, must succeed on a dex save or take 2d10 fire damage. The spirit is friendly to you and your companions and obeys your commands. Stat block is included as well. Some spirits take the form of a humanoid figure made from gnarled branches covered in flame, while others look like beasts wreathed in fire. In combat, the Wildfire Spirit shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn after yours. The only action it can take on its turn is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take one of the options. To dash, disengage, help, or hide. So it's interesting. Wildfire Spirit manifests for 1 hour until it is reduced to 0 hit points, or until you use your wild shape feature again.
I do have gripes, but it's not actually about the Wildfire Spirit. I think it's actually kind of cool and I like it, but it just feels like every time they introduce something to the game, it's like, here, look, we have another opportunity to kick the Beastmaster Ranger in the nuts. Let's do it. Like, everything they come out with is always better than the Beast Companion Ranger, and that part is annoying. And all I really want is for the Beast Companion to have more hit points. Maxing out, this thing will have about 27 hit points more than the Beast Companion. And it's slightly better in other ways. So,
well, I mean, literally, the Ranger's Beast Companion gets 4 times your level in hit points, whereas the Wildfire Spirit gets 5 times.
Plus your Wisdom modifier and the Spirit's Constitution. I don't know.
It's like I said, it's just a thumb at the nose of the Ranger.
Poor Ranger.
It sucks. And this one does fire damage, but then again, it's not attacking on its own. It's just dealing damage to things that are near it. So
no, it can attack on its own. It's got a ranged attack that it can do, and you're only giving up your bonus action to make it do stuff, right? Whereas the
so like I misread. When it said use your bonus action, I thought it said it could take the dash, disengage, help, or hide, but it can also use the actions in its stat block, which are here. Whether it's got a ranged attack or fiery teleportation. Yeah, definitely stronger. The only thing that I think is sad here is it's presented as just a summonable thing through the class, and I feel like I want to see extrapolated. Well, here's an actual monster stat block that could be used. Here's a challenge rating. Here's an X number of hit points normally.
I mean, that is the only thing that's missing is the challenge rating. But other than that, you do have all the stats to use it. You would just have to figure out how you want to work it with the challenge rating. Technically, if you look at the Druid stats and any of the NPCs, you might be able to extrapolate that this would be a portion of that.
Right.
You could add it. But yeah, I mean, and there's a couple things that makes
it's minor, and it's incorporated within the powers of the spellcaster. So I understand that, from a design perspective, that's how they wanted to approach it. To me, I just miss as okay, well, it was a lost opportunity for, a couple minutes worth of extra work.
So now we have 6th level Enhanced Bond. The bond with your Wildfire Spirit enhances your destructive and restorative spells. Whenever you cast a spell that deals fire damage or restores hit points while your Wildfire Spirit is summoned, roll a d8, and you gain the bonus to one roll of the spell equal to that number rolled. So more damage, more healing.
In addition, when you cast a spell with a range other than self, the spell can originate from you or from the Wildfire Spirit. So the fact that, this thing can then, travel far away from you, you can be like, all right, well, we're just going to have the fireball come from the spirit instead of from me, increasing your range. I think this is
or spells like Thunderwave, where you have to be close. Well, now you don't. It does.
Well, Thunderwave can't because it's not a fire spell. Never mind. It says any spell with a range other than self. So
Yes, so you can definitely use it. It adds utility, versatility. Even going off some of the other things, the fact that you can cast spells, use command this as a bonus action, and you can just rain fiery death wherever your thing is, and it doesn't hurt it. So there's great combinations.
Yeah, I completely see it.
So what do we got next?
So we got Flames of Life. 10th level, you gain the ability to turn death into flames of vitality. When a small or larger creature that you can see dies within 30 feet of you or your Wildfire Spirit, you can use your reaction to cause primal flames to spring from the body. When a creature that you can see touches these flames, the creature regains hit points or takes fire damage, your choice, equal to 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier. The flames vanish after a creature has touched them or after 1 minute. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom mod, minimum once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
So this is a pretty nice ability. Eventually you're going to use it probably 5 times a day. Gives the druid something to do with their reaction. They generally don't have a lot to do with your reaction, so I like that. You know, unless you're casting absorb elements or getting an attack of opportunity, this works out really nice.
You know, and that's, you know, either free damage or free healing, and it's your choice. So you put it out there, and you can manipulate the situation. So pretty nice.
Yeah, battlefield control, or, you know, support for your allies.
14th level, you get Blazing Endurance. The bond with your Wildfire Spirit is exceptionally strong. Even fatal blows only fuel your defiance. If you drop to 0 hit points and don't die outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead and gain temporary hit points equal to 5 times your druid level. And each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you that you can see takes fire damage equal to 2d10 plus your druid level. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest.
70 temporary hit points.
70 temporary hit points. You know, when it happens, you know, I see this ability and I'm like, all right, you know, how many other things have, you know, have already gone into the I don't die character?
Here's another one.
Here's another one, and I love those kinds of things. I think they're great. So you know, a half orc druid, this is where I'd want to go. I think that'd be, you know, amazing. Just be like, yep, you're not bringing me down.
You know, when you think about it, at 14th level, you probably have around 100 hit points as a druid anyway. Like, so this is almost bringing you back up to full in temporary hit points.
So it's pretty nice, you know, and then you couple the damage that you're dealing out there. I mean, 2d10, but it's plus your druid level in fire damage. That's pretty nice too. Each creature within 30 feet of your choice. So it's like, all right, how many enemies are close to me? You know, burn them all. No saving throw, and the only stipulation is like, okay, fire is the most prevalent damage source, and there is a lot of resist fire, or immunities. But I mean, come on, it's nice. I really like it.
Yeah, you're definitely going to invest in the elemental infinity for this character. But yeah, Wildfire Druid, a lot of fun. There's good stuff there. Some of it's really strong. Thumbs his nose at the Beastmaster Ranger. Sorry. You know, it's some good stuff. I definitely would love to play one of these for sure.
All right, so let's move on to our Arcane Tradition within this one, and we get Onomancy.
Yeah, practitioners of magic well know the power of names, but wizards who follow the tradition of Onomancy use their magic to manipulate the words that encompass existence. Onomancers expand their study into language itself, searching for threads of magical significance that weave through names. Something that is named stands out in the multiverse, distinct from the tapestry of creation all around it. That distinction creates power that Onomancers seek to tap. By speaking a target's true name, the wizard's spell slips between the cracks of the target's defenses, conforming to its essential nature through the power of its name. To protect themselves, wizards who follow this tradition often hide their true names, typically by adopting monikers and pseudonyms.
So, true names, onomancy, or naming magic, is a method of spellcasting that uses a creature's true name to enhance a spell's effects. A true name is the name by which a self-aware creature identifies itself. This name might be the name a person was given at birth, or one a person choose, or the name might be a name the person was given at birth or one a person chose or earned later in life. Whatever a name's origin, the simplest way for you to know your true name is to think truthfully about yourself and then think, my name is ... Your true name is how you finish that sentence. You can try to hide your true name by using a pseudonym, but you must be wary not to inhabit that false name too deeply. If a false name comes to be the best expression of who you are, it becomes your true name. Changing one's true name is never a quick choice. It's something that happens over time as a name becomes the creature's truth. As a quick guide, a creature has a true name if it understands at least one language or has an alignment. There's a lot of cool information, some lore built into this, and I like it, but I feel that if you've got someone playing this in your world or in your campaign, as a DM, like, you're going to have to do a little bit more work. You're going to have to, you know, figure out these kinds of things, because legitimately all of the powers of this subclass are based off of, you know, enacting that true name when you cast the spell. There's some oddities, and like I said, more work for the DM.
Yeah, you could, more work, but things that you could do to kind of enhance the experience at the table for everyone.
Yeah.
So bonus proficiencies at second level, learn one language of your choice and gain proficiency with calligraphy supplies.
I'm down with adding more tools and more languages to any class, so never have a problem with that one.
And then we have extract name, second level ornamency feature. You can magically compel a creature to divulge its true name. As a bonus action, you target one creature you can see within 60 feet of you. The target must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a successful save, you discern that this magic failed, and you can't use this feature on a target again. On a failed save, the target is charmed by you until the end of your next turn, and you mentally learn the charmed target's name or the fact that the target lacks a name. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier minimum once, and you regain expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is pretty cool. I mean, basically bonus action, and you're going to see this is going to come up a lot. This feature is going to be important later, where you can just boom, get their true name, and then you have them as your puppet for a single round, which can be useful. But that's not the main thing of what's going on here. It kind of feeds into the other abilities.
It feeds into the other abilities, but I feel this is going to come up. I think, you know, like especially during, you know, downtime and times when I think you've got the ability to be like, all right, I want to get that one. I want to get that one. I want to get that one. Like, you never, like, I feel this is the kind of thing where, like, this is the kind of person who sits and takes notes. Okay, you know,
you're storing the names.
The barmaid is really this. The innkeeper is really that. And
you're
like
diabolical, Ted. You're like targeting the barmaid and the innkeeper.
I just, you know, the thing started at the tavern, so that's where my brain went, you know, and I'm like, all right, but you could be like, oh, well, what about the king? What about the advisor? Like, you could just start getting these. What happens is like, oh, well, that doesn't have a name. Like, you learn these things. Now, I think the dangerous thing, you know, or the hard part thing here is if it makes it save, it is immune to you. Like, there's no other chance. It doesn't say you can try again tomorrow. You know, that kind of sucks. Like, it's good and bad, you know, from both sides. But
that doesn't mean you can't get his true name. You just can't get it via this feature.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's thematic. It's going to be useful. You can definitely do these are not the droids you're looking for, and then quick move. Something. Next we have at second level still Fateful Naming. You can bend magic to assist or hinder creatures through the power of their true names, and even use those names as an anchor to affect others around them. Bane and Bless spells are wizard spells for you, and you add them to your spellbook. You always have them prepared, yet they don't count against the number of spells you can prepare, which is nice. That's not something you usually see with a wizard. You can cast either spell without expending a spell slot if you speak the true name of one of the targets of the spell as part of the casting. If you can cast spells in this way a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, you know, once, and you gain all expended uses once you finish a long rest.
I love this, and I feel it thematically fits. The only issue is like as long as one of the targets, I would like to just twist it of like you can use it for free on, you know, those that you know the true name, not just be like, well, I know yours, so I'm going to get you and those two guys. That's the only tweak that I would make.
Okay. So, I mean, you're going to always probably be able to use Bless on your party because you're going to probably have some of their true names.
But, you know, it's taking time, and is Bless and Bane are both concentration.
Yes,
so,
but they're very good spells.
Oh,
very
don't get me wrong, but you know, it does limit, you know, what you can do. as far as those are concerned.
So right away we're seeing where the true name thing comes up and why it's useful. Now we have our next ability.
So 6th level, we get Resonant Utterance. You learn words of power called Resonance, which allow you to tailor your spells through the use of a target's true name. See, it's coming up again. Resonance known. When you gain this feature, you learn 2 resonants of your choice, which are detailed in the options section. Each time you gain a level in this class, you can replace one resonant you know with a different one. You can use a resonant when you cast a wizard spell with a spell slot and speak the true name of one creature targeted by the spell. Speaking the name is part of the casting. So it doesn't say it, it out there, but it does say it. I extrapolate that means this spell now also has a verbal component if it didn't have one already. So your resonant options, you've got Absorption. When you cast a spell that deals damage to the named target, you gain 3d6 temporary hit points. The number of temporary hit points you gain increases by a d6 when you reach 10th and 14th level in this class. You've got Devastation. The spell requires the named creature to make a saving throw. That creature has disadvantage on the first save it makes against the spell. Disillusion. The first time the named creature takes damage from the spell, that creature takes 2d8 force damage. The extra force damage increases by d8 when you reach 10th and 14th level. Nullification. If the named target is affected by any other spells, you know what those spells are, and you can attempt to end one of your choice by succeeding on an intelligence check with a DC equal to 10, plus the level of the chosen spell. Puppetry. The first time the named creature takes damage from the spell, you can knock the creature prone or move it up to 10 feet, either directly toward you or away from you. Last, we have Sympathy. If the named creature is within range of the spell, you can target the creature with the spell even if you can't see the creature or even if it has total cover against the spell. So that one, it's like, all right, well, I don't know exactly where you are, but I'm going to target you anyway.
That's actually more of a big deal than you think it is until you've been in a situation where all of your spells rely on you targeting a creature. And we've seen it happen in our own games. So I think that's like a little bit of a sleeper ability. These are really cool. They have a little bit of a meta magic feel to them, or just a general buff feel to them. They're useful. It's fun. By the time you max out this class, you get to use it 20 or 10 times a day. Not bad, and you got a bunch of options. Next up, we have an Inexorable Pronouncement. Learn 2 new resonants of your choice from your Resonant Utterance features. So now we have more of them.
Lastly, we have Resonance Naming at 14th level. You have learned how to bypass a named creature's defenses against certain types of damage. When you cast a spell that deals damage to a creature whose true name you speak as part of the casting of the spell, you can cause the spell to deal force or psychic damage to the creature instead of the spell's normal damage type. So, you're going to cast that, that fireball against the demon, and it's going to do force damage or psychic damage and have a lot of fun.
Super useful. You have 2 choices, 2 of which have very few things that are resistant or immune to. So yeah, that comes in handy if you have a spell list that's like isn't going to work against whatever you're going up against. So that's pretty nice ability.
So when I look at all of the different things that are here, I feel that almost everything relies, if not everything, relies on knowing the true name. So you definitely have to max out your intelligence with this character, and you have to be getting them to fail that wisdom saving throw, because if not, you got nothing. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier, that I really feel that this does put more work on the DM to create true names for, their NPCs. It's going to require more work on the player of okay, well, I need to set up situations where I can get something ahead of time. So for a DM who's using this, I feel there needs to be an occurrence of a villain, or reoccurrences, your typical, Marvel superheroes or DC superheroes, where you're seeing the same villains over and over again, so that you can have chances to get this stuff, so that you have ways to use this. Otherwise, I feel that type of wizard could feel underpowered in the party.
I can definitely see that. I also feel like it's going to add really interesting opportunities within the game for the dungeon master to expand our campaign with this stuff. There's great like story elements with this one, more so than the other two subclasses. So I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's interesting. And yeah, you know, because of the reliance on the true name, and you can only grab 5 of them per day, it makes
At max, yeah.
At max, which makes it hard. But, you know, again, like you said, building that catalog of them, in order for that to be useful, you're going to need, you know, reoccurring villains, essentially. Or, you know, you're going to be able to use the buffs on your party a lot anyway, at the very minimum. So,
yeah. So there's definite ways to use it. But I am willing to bet that as people begin playtesting and using this, that there are going to be gripes about, well, I used it and every time the DM's like, well, you know, I always pass the save, and they're not going to be extrapolating that information, you know, because we know that there are types of DMs that are out there. It's like, well, no, this is a villain. You can't get that. That's going to be, you know,
or a creature with legendary resistances can just do it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to automatically. Yeah, maybe a mechanic where you don't expend your use because this is kind of pretty vital.
So, you know, I feel I love them all, and I feel that there's good with each of them.
Ornamency is the least powerful of the bunch.
Ornamency is the one that I'm worried the most. I think there's a lot of great flavor. I love what's there, but it has the potential to be underpowered depending upon how the player plays it and the DM plays it.
The question is, what do you think? We got a place where we can discuss it down in the comments below. But before we leave, let's take a moment to invite you to join Nerdarchy, the adventuring party, over on Patreon. What can they expect over there, Ted?
We're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that both players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways, and our patrons are automatically entered.
We do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description. Join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party on Patreon. Until next time,
Stay nerdy.